But the person I felt the worst for, based on the actions of the ex-Mormon side, were Tember's kids. Because when you get down to the fundamental argument they were making, that Tember was wrong for marrying a woman and starting a family, they're effectively saying, like, your kids shouldn't exist.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like, when you really take it to its logical conclusion, if you're a kid watching this and they're like, yeah, we think it was wrong that you got married to this woman and have children, how's the kid's going to take that as, like, you're saying I shouldn't have existed? That, to me, seemed messed up, because once you're getting the family involved, it's like you're not just attacking him for being a traitor, you're going after the fundamental biology of a human. My problem was with the hypocrisy of it. I
don't know. Then they would be
true.
canceled. I mean, like, you can say, oh, it's just a straight white man talking, and you can get away with that, but you can't really get away with, like, oh, it's just the black guy talking, it's just the lesbian talking about her problems.
Like, it plays into the hands of people who want us divided.
The comments really are pretty...
Very even. Did the feminists just defend me?
It seemed as if they viewed him as a traitor.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Ward Radio. I'm your host, Cardin Ellis, and today I'm joined in the studio live by a very young and dumb cast. We got Kwaku L here, proprietor of Young and Dumb, the party company in Utah, as well, and Arizona, and now expanding to the rest of the West Coast. Sorry.
He missed Idaho, but it's not worth mentioning.
And ooh, savage, my friend, savage.
Let's be honest, who's excited to... I can't wait to go party in Burley.
Yeah,
Dude, there are 4 people in Rigby who are so offended right now.
Well, as you can hear, we have many other people as well joining us today, as well as Amanda and Skylar.
What's good?
Yeah, what's good? Joining Kwaku on his little trip to California and via the interwebs by none other than our good friend and co-host, Brad Whitbeck. What's going on, Brad? How you doing, man?
Hey, doing great.
So, as you guys may have noticed today, the infamous Jubilee and long-awaited Jubilee Media, I wouldn't say interview, I wouldn't say debate, but middle ground video finally dropped today, and we're going to analyze it, give some of our initial reactions to this video. Who wants to go first? Kwaku, I saw you scowling. Brad, do you want to go first? Who's taking it?
I say let's have Brad go first, because Brad, as someone who wasn't there, can give a little more of a objective response, and then Amanda and Skylar, because we were there, so we should probably go last.
Okay,
I think.
go for it. Go for it, Brad.
Yeah, I'll just give you my first impression. I mean, that thumbnail, I feel like, told me way more than I wanted to know about what they thought of the conversation, right? They have, like, the Exmo girl giving you the side eye in the thumbnail for some reason, and I'm like, that doesn't feel super balanced. That feels kind of like they have already made a decision on which side they like and which they don't, right? And so I watched through it, and unfortunately that appeared to be the case. It seemed to be that they... the moderator was very interested, at least in the parts that I was able to see, that at least what made it to the 1 hour cut. They definitely stopped things from getting contentious, which was nice, but they also kind of shut down a lot of comments from the Mormon side while letting people dogpile on Timber with the ex-Mormon side, which was weird.
That was crazy for people that claim to be allies. I've never seen a gay man badgered for his opinions more in my life than in that 3-second exchange that there was no way to get out of. They were getting out of a lot of other things, like my really good half to the cult question. They never posted a single statistic when I mentioned stats, but they posted every statistic that John DeLynn pointed out, I noticed. But yeah, you couldn't get out of that. That was difficult to watch.
And that was the last thing that I wanted to bring up, was like just the way that the edit made it. They kind of subtly gave more credibility to the ex-Mormon view just by only giving a source for things that they said, you know?
Yeah, Kwaku.
Yeah, yeah, so they... And look, I'm sure both sides are going to have a gripe with the editor. That's always what happens. Everyone's mad at the editor. I didn't talk that much in the, I only said a couple of things, but one thing I know that they didn't have to take out, which they probably should have kept in, during the LGBTQ portion when I said, look, two things can be true at once. I named the first thing, and then they cut out the second thing and went straight to the conclusion. So I say, look, here are two things, and they only got one of them. So I said, first, Mormons by and large are not hateful people, and they don't hate people. Second, what they cut out was, but everybody, we have LGBT people here who've clearly been hurt by members of the church and the church, and we have to honor and validate that. So what do we do going forward? We have to create a future that works for both. They cut out the part where I'm being empathetic.
Same here, though.
You know
Remember where I said, God bless anybody that treated you well? God damn anybody that didn't. That is a violation of Christ-like behavior. I want to give these people the benefit of the doubt because I'm a Hollywood guy.
But then again,
guy.
also,
I hire these kids to
They cut
edit.
out the green-haired girl. Not the green hair, the green-shirted girl. She shared a lot of stories, and they cut out like all of her stories, too. So I'm sure she's sitting there like, why did they include my stories? Because those really made my point. Because she's getting called mean in the comments. And maybe she's probably thinking, well, if they heard my personal stories, they would not think I'm mean. So I'm sure everybody's got gripes with the editor. It's probably one overly caffeinated, stressful, underpaid AMDA graduate who's sitting there in the warehouse right now like, I don't care enough about Mormons anyway to be editing this. You know what I mean? Like,
and that I totally understand. But at the same time, there's like 3 solid things that are positive for the ex-Mormon team that are not for the Mormon
also,
team,
we don't
right?
know if they were using markers. The director could have been giving timestamps and markers and said, this is what you just need to go and include and cut the rest out. Right? So you never really know the process.
Was the girl in the green shirt talking like a lot, or was she?
Oh, she had a lot to say.
Really?
She was singing the Star Spangled Banner. She was going.
I doubt that, but
Well, some of the comments about her in the chat were pretty hilarious. Did you include any of those in the Discord that I can pull up?
I was trying to look for more.
Okay, well,
the comment section, by the way, I know I just got to make this is the last thing I really want to say. The comment section first, all the LGBTQIA plus people got there, and they were like, Mormonism is a cult and it's terrible. And then the pro-Mormon people got there about 2 hours later. Because they were still in church, right?
It's about to come home from church.
But it's been about 5 hours, and now the evangelical Christians have showed up to try to co-opt the comment section to be about if Mormons are Christians or not. It's like, hey, Baptists, can you, for once, I am begging you, for once, just read the room. Like, let the gay people and the Mormons just argue about that one thing, because I'm literally seeing there's a comment thread now where they're saying it actually is a cult, and then someone in the church is going, no, it's not a cult, you guys, it is a pejorative. And then an LGBT person says, oh, well, I was treated terribly by this cult anyway. Well, you need to find the real Jesus. What are you talking about? Mormonism isn't actually a form of Christianity. And so now the ex-Mormon, the LGBT guy, and the Mormon guy are like, hey, can you shut up? It is a free-for-all. It is a garbage dumpster fire of a comment section.
Well, we're gonna rope in Amanda and Skylar here, who are unfamiliar with many of these arguments that we have in cyberspace. These are just laymen, who are party planners and just pretty faces for the videos at Young and Dumb. So what were your guys' thoughts? And then I'll give you mine. What were your guys' thoughts?
Okay, initially, this video claims to be a kind of middle ground. And I was kind of going into it okay, because I usually don't see anything that has anything to do with Mormonism or whatever that's a middle ground. It's usually either very pro-Mormon or very anti-Mormon. And so I was kind of stoked on seeing that. But then as the video goes on, it was very much anti, just because of what we've talked about so far with the statistics thing where they weren't including what Cardin was saying, the statistics.
Yeah, every time I mentioned a statistic, it hit the editing room floor. Every time John DeLynn mentioned a statistic, it ended up being put up in this nice emblazoned Chiron on the bottom. Yeah. I'd like to think that maybe just because the editor was trying to boil down 3 hours, and we did film for 3 hours into 58 minutes, both sides are not going to be happy because things are going to get edited out. However, everybody that participated in it, when they asked me, they said, how well did you think it go? How well do you think it went? I said, it went well in there, but that's not what people are going to see. This has not been put through the meat grinder that is the editing process yet. And I'm a Hollywood guy. I know, dude, you can take a movie that's a rom-com and re-edit it as an action film if you just add the right music and you end up putting in some like CGI explosions in the background, right? So I was like, we will see once the edit came out, and I can see why a lot of people are concerned about the edit. Keep going, Amanda and Skylar.
Okay, so there's that. And then the thing that bothered me the most was like the mediator guy. Why were they allowed to interrupt the Mormons so much? But whenever you guys tried to like enter back into the conversation, it was no, let her speak.
Yeah,
let her speak.
That was ridiculous. Me and her watched it together, and when we like in the beginning, there wasn't really much for the mediator to like interject, and so when you guys would start talking like, is Mormonism a cult? He didn't really have anything to like, he couldn't make it a sides thing. And so when you guys were talking, we found ourselves like pausing the video a lot and like talking about it. And so it was nice at first. And then the second things started to get actually heated, it was very clear the sides were already picked. And it was just
like, especially when you started talking about like your experience with leukemia and that faith crisis that you had going on, and that girl, what was her name, she like interjected and was being super argumentative and rude because you were obviously being very vulnerable and sharing like an emotional experience, and she just interjected like, oh, being gay isn't the worst thing that could happen, and then you weren't allowed to.
And if my memory is correct, it was the subject of it became like a sub-subject of faith crisis.
Exactly.
And saying, look, when you have a faith crisis because you're gay, well, we all have faith crisis because of something, but they took out the clarification in the edit to make it sound like you were saying, look, you're gay, I have cancer, they're the same thing. And it's like, okay, no, he's not saying, he's not saying it's a disease. He's saying we all have different things that can create a faith crisis. And then
it doesn't make any sense when I say, no, I'm talking about the faith crisis. Like, if you're a homosexual member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and you end up having a faith crisis because we live in a hypersexualized world and you may not understand the practical benefits of an eternal marriage that follows the Adam and Eve archetype, right? And you have a law of chastity that you do not understand, okay? That lack of understanding, that lack of celestial vision, shall you say, I can see why that would absolutely cause a faith crisis. Well, also, I lived in Children's Hospital of Los Angeles for freaking almost all of 2017. You don't think I didn't see 50 million faith crises as parents saw their children slowly die of cancer, as I got diagnosed with leukemia, a disease I don't understand why I got that, why God would do that to me, why somebody, like, I was simply trying to say, like, I'm empathetic to somebody losing their faith over something difficult that happened to them that they may not understand. And you need to choose. Are you either saying this was very, very difficult and we need to empathize with you? Or are you trying to say that, like, it wasn't and it was the best thing ever? Or do you just want to lambast me? Because it looks like you just wanted to lambast me and twist my words into being something that it was not about. I was not trying to compare you to a cancer, you know? But it's like, that's why I said before, I knew I was going to be on this thumbnail. Quaco, you remember when I said that? Do you remember when I said, I know I was going to be on this thumbnail? Do you remember why I said I was going to be on the thumbnail even before it came out?
Well, okay. I want it to be be fair.
Do you remember why though?
Yeah, okay. I know. You said I'm the token straight white guy, so they're gonna come mad at me.
I was the only straight pro LDS white man in that entire studio. They were hunting for that demographic. We are the token bad men of secular atheist society right now. The woke hates uniquely my demographic, Christian men that are straight, Christian cisgender men. I knew I was going to be the pro Mormon on that thumbnail, man.
Okay, now to be fair,
okay,
you did take the bait.
Of which thing?
You took all the bait they wanted you to take. Okay,
no, they had to twist out of context a faith
No. Here's what I mean. Here's what I mean. When they said the church treats men and women equally, I did not walk forward. I'm not going to go fight a great white shark armed with a pipe cleaner. And Cardin, you did that.
Hey, people are saying that was one of my best responses. And I said, I understand the secular arguments that men cannot have priesthood. Hey, people said that was one of my best responses.
Well, the comments are everywhere. I'm just saying, dude, I didn't walk up
turned it
because
on them.
I knew they were going to ask me about the Relief Society president. I knew they were going to ask. I knew they would. I have no clue who she is. We filmed this a month ago. I have not taken the time to educate myself on who I'm not gonna. I know I'm not even gonna. In my head, it's still Linda K. Burton.
I was just
Okay.
I was just kind of wondering, like, can you name the general presiding bishop? Like, that's the equivalency, right? Like, this isn't. I don't know.
And we can name a million. By the way, I thought a lot of people actually said they thought that was my best response, which is kind of interesting that you think that was one of my worst ones, Kwaku.
No, I'm saying you took the bait. I'm saying that's an unwinnable. The women were all on that side. It was you versus three lesbians. You think you're gonna win the woman debate?
No. It was one lesbian, all right, and one John Fetterman lookalike. I'm sorry, John Lynn's hoodie. It was really funny. It did kind of look like John Fetterman walked in.
Sorry,
that was
she had
funny.
her girlfriend in the back. So
I know she had a girlfriend. I didn't realize you could bring her entourage, or else I would have brought Brittany as well. But anyway, all I'm saying is a lot of people thought that was my best answer. You can subjectively disagree if you want to, but I actually liked how I said, okay, well, hold on here. Let's define what power is. Does not Emily Bell Freeman objectively probably have more power than the presiding bishop?
Oh yeah,
like she puts out one tweet, dude, and mobilizes 500,000 people. The presiding bishop puts out a tweet, and people are like, "What's this spam coming on my feed? Is this a real account?"
I just didn't say anything. I was like, I'm just not gonna say anything this round, and I probably should have said something because I think I said one thing and I made a joke of how I don't know who the female, like the Relief Society president is, and they were hoping I wouldn't say anything because my silence gave them the weapon when they were like, notice how it's only the white men talking right now, and I was like, I could have prevented this. I could have prevented this, but I didn't. I sold you guys down the river.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So anyway, Brad, how is this resonating with you, man? You are you vibing with this? Are you vibing with this? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in watching the full uncut version, right? To see if there's more like how that conversation actually went. I'm definitely interested to see that. I was super disappointed because I feel like Jubilee Media has done some really good stuff when I've seen stuff they've done with like politics, right? They've had 2 or 3 videos that I thought were actually really well done. But this one just didn't live up to it for me, man. It was too one-sided. And I know there's probably people on the other side thinking the editor wasn't on their team enough, but there's the thumbnail alone, man. The thumbnail says it all for me.
So I was sitting there, and again, I'm trying to defend these people because I'm a Hollywood guy. I'm taller than the others. She was taking a handheld still shot, so the fact that I was given the villain angle that gave me the villain neck and was not very flattering was probably because, I was 6'5.5" sitting in front of a 5'4" girl with a camera that was a foot lower than her chin, right?
Yeah.
And the other girl was not diminutive, but much shorter than I. And so it would be a little bit more of a flattering angle. I'd like to think that was just, something relatively accidental.
Pardon?
Yeah.
I do not think it is an accident that they have her literally giving you the side eye, like looking at you like you're crazy in this thumbnail. Like they could have used just a picture of her smiling. Like why wasn't Kwaku the thumbnail guy for this, right?
Because they're not hunting for Kwaku. Secular wokeism hates one demographic. It's literally called intersectionality. Why? Because everybody else has to gang up on that one demographic. We are the bad people in their eyes. You yourself said it earlier on a phone call when I was giving you the link to Zoom. You said the American media is very what?
Oh, they're very much against straight white men right now. That's very clear.
Yes.
Like that's very easy for them to...
I don't know.
What do you got to say, Kwaku? Go ahead.
Both of our presidential candidates.
Well,
You think that means anything? Our presidential candidates are just... You think the American people chose that?
He's talking about the American media.
Yeah. What's
our
saying?
presidential candidates are picked by the freaking garbage... What are they called? Our
special
different
interest
political
groups.
parties that we have right now. That has
No,
nothing to do...
I'm not saying it's not all pre-approved by the Illuminati, Brad. What I'm saying, though, is that, like... I mean, Biden, Trump, like there's a lot, like half the country is MAGA and half the media is right wing, and they all like him.
Look,
so when you say media, it's like, what do you mean?
No, but I think what he's trying to say is there's certain tells. Just like if you're a poker player and you're trying to see if somebody's got a good hand of cards or a bad hand of cards, you read their tells and you see what's going on. And what Brad here is saying is that it is obvious of the 8 people there was only one that represented the demographic that woke intersectionality hates. And they put that one on the thumbnail.
They did.
Okay.
Well, and also, okay,
because think about it, John DeLynn, he's the anti, so he's protected because he's the ally. Then you had both the gay and the lesbian and the feminist. Then on our side, you had the girl, you had the gay man, you had the young black guy. There's only one dude in there that's the token villain imperialist.
Okay, but Card, as well, to be fair, your personality is so boisterous. Like when you came on, it was there was no way they weren't going to put you, like if you were Indian with your personality, you still would have been on the thumbnail. Let's be, you just have that
fair,
personality.
that's true.
I'm surprised they didn't have John DeLynn. I'm surprised they had the Carly Rae Jepsen girl. I thought they were going to have John DeLynn on the thumbnail. Because like,
by the way, he needs to do his genealogy. He's got the Fetterman jacket. Like, remember we said when we were first doing Midnight Mormons, we said he looks like a lake dad. Because the Thrive hat, it kind of had the lake dad vibes. If he had the glasses, we think like he owned a really nice $250,000 boat. Like he was. He
also has the voice of John, not the stutter, but he has the kind of the deep, slightly nasally. I don't know. There's almost some island in North Europe where they both have come from the same guy.
That's funny. I don't know what island in Northern Europe you're talking about, but I do look forward to
the Isle of Man, like the Cannon, like George Buchanan. If you ever met a Cannon, they all look the same because they're all from that one place in the Isle of Man. They literally have all looked the same for the past 200 years. Every Cannon you'll ever meet.
Oh, that's funny.
Where did Brad go?
I was about to say, it looks like we lost Brad due to the Zoom connection. I don't know what happened there. It's kind of unfortunate. But something that also struck me was I was actually, I was pleasantly surprised that they included, I sometimes I don't know what they were going for because I felt some of our tit for tat was actually very good and was informative and actually helped find middle ground. I thought our last segment was actually kind of almost healing and almost beautiful that we had with some of these people, and that wasn't really completely included, and I thought it was a little bit disturbing that last stat they showed where they said, is the Mormon church a net positive? And 64% of the people on middle ground said no. Meanwhile, everybody, both ex-Mormons and Mormons, both agreed that, hey, no, the Mormon church does a lot of good in a lot of arenas, especially humanitarian aid. So I believe it's a net positive. Even the gay guy said, look, this may not be popular with the ex-Mormon community, but I actually think the Mormon church has been a net positive in my life. And pretty much everybody said something along those lines, except for green shirt girl. That
well, can I just go through and read some of these comments here?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so the comments really are a free-for-all of in all directions. Look, so you got aren't all religions cults though? So you got the teenage atheist phase guy.
Yeah, okay.
Teenage dirtbag.
Cardin, please stop with this nonsense. I wish you would leave the church. Your health will improve.
Oh, jeez.
LMAO got the Rainbow Mafia.
Yeah. Oh, and the anti-Mormons are already sending me all of these spam, horrible text messages. You guys saw them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys saw them already. It's only been like, within 2 or 3 hours. Boom. It's like, I know when a video drops just by the spam, nasty, horrible text messages and emails we start getting. Anyway, keep going, Kwaku.
I really enjoyed John in this episode. I love to see one of the Pentecostal faith. Oh my gosh, Kwaku and Cardin represent. What underwear are you wearing? Hypersexualized society? Brigham Young had 50 wives and 50 children. If society is hypersexualized, Mormons helped create it. Love the honesty. It's interesting how some Mormons are still denying the truth. I just admire those who can be honest with themselves. I'd love to see Mormons versus Christians. I really enjoyed watching this. I had some of my own stereotype disconfirmed, which I love.
Oh, interesting.
I did not expect Kwaku to disagree with the statement that the LDS welcomes the LGBTQ community and by implication to support the LGBT community within his church. What is Mormonism?
Someone who's completely lost.
You need to one of Jehovah's Witnesses. As a gay guy, I hate how every religious conversation has to devolve into a talk about LGBT people. And not only that, it always has to be the apex of controversy. So, I mean, the comments really are pretty, like...
very even.
Yeah. Like,
okay, that's what you're saying.
But yeah, there's I would say the number one comment about 3 hours ago was probably Cardin's boisterous. The number one comment right now, I think it's about tied between that and, I want to see this versus this, and then why is everything about LGBT people? So it's interesting to see
and speaking of interesting, I'm curious to see, what did you guys think? Because he's not here. We wanted to rope him in, but unfortunately he has more church meetings because he's a very faithful Latter-day Saint and a great guy. Timber. Poor Timber.
He got the most hate in the video.
Dude,
they
seriously.
dogpiled Timber.
That was ridiculous. When we were watching it at first, we literally were like, "Oh my gosh, they're boxing me into a corner."
We had to pause the video so many times and just sit there in disbelief at how they were treating him.
It was ridiculous. It was like it's like they were it's like they didn't even want him on the LGBTQ side. They were trying to just dog on him completely instead of oh, well, if you're gay, then we're the side you should be on. Instead, they were just completely hammering him into a corner, and it didn't help that they were on either side of him.
I mean, talk about interruptions. He could not finish one sentence for yeah, well, they're going to get in heaven.
Answer their questions. They were directly asking
It's a yes or no
him.
question. It's a yes or no question.
Okay, let him answer.
Yeah, let him answer the yes or no question, and let him clarify the yes or no question if you want. And it was just so
especially with that question, the guy asking, he knew the answer.
Yeah.
He just wanted Tenger to say it.
Yeah, it did. For people that claim to be allies, this is not a good week. This is not a good week for ex-Mormon, anti-Mormon allyship. I mean, you've got all the gay organizations saying, why are co-hosts of the Mormon Stories podcast literally going and spying on Charlie Bird and his husband taking the sacrament in church? Which, I mean, that's a conversation for a different day, but that's hardcore. And then, if I were to show a 30-second clip of them going after Timber in that 30 seconds, I was feeling bad for the guy. I was like, wow.
Well, I'll tell you who I actually feel bad for, because effectively...
All right. Wait, hold on a second. We got Brad back. Brad's back. Internet's working again. All right, Brad. Hey. So finish your thought, and then we're going to come back to talking about Timber getting lambasted. While you were gone, we gravitated into a convo about Timber getting hammered here. So finish what you're saying about the American media, and then we're going to go back to talking with Kwaku here.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure I got this right, Kwaku. So when we're talking about the media and the way that they're portraying white men recently, you were saying the media is pretty divided, right and left. Were you talking more like CNN and Fox?
I think that the left the past 20 years has done a really good job of being able to kind of push people around using victim complex, and the right wing is now trying to do it. And it's the number one it boy in the country is Travis Kelce. The two presidential candidates are Biden and Trump. Every major show right now on Netflix and anything, the lead is a white guy. So it's I don't think the media is against white guys. I mean, I just think it's the thing to say, because you realize how well it worked for the left.
You can look at football though, and it's not dominated by white men in any sense of the word.
Okay, the number one show is Euphoria. Jacob Elordi, right? Top guy. But who's the other dude who's not good looking, but we're pretending he is?
Kwaku, that doesn't have anything to do with what I'm talking about, though. The fact that during your conversation you guys had, Cardin was able to have his opinion shut down by people saying, and now it's just the straight white men talking, right? Insert any other demographic. Would that stop their opinion from mattering?
No, but also everyone knew that she's full of bullcrap.
Yes, but that's an acceptable kind of bullcrap right now, right? That's a kind of bullcrap that I see touted all over the place.
I mean, you could probably say the same, the same level of if Jubilee was a little more center right as opposed to center left, if someone was undocumented, you could say the same thing, and half their comments would be why is there an illegal, you know what I mean, I
don't know. Then they would be canceled. True. I mean, you can say, "Oh, it's just the straight white man talking," and you can get away with that, but you can't really get away with "Oh, it's just the black guy talking. It's just the lesbian talking about her problems." You can't really get away with.
Did the feminists just defend me?
Well, I guess that depends when you mean get away with, right? So what is one of the top podcasters right now is Nick Fuentes. He's
No,
nuts.
that's not true. He is absolutely disregarded from polite society.
No,
As
the
an
guy has so many
anti-Semite.
followers.
Okay,
Millions.
Okay, look.
Millions.
At this point, we've just triggered oppositionally defiant Kwaku. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
he has
Who's
millions of
gonna
followers.
dig in?
That's
so
not.
real.
That's undeniable. And so I think the right wing is trying to do like what the left wing did. And so I just.
But we're not talking about the right wing and the left wing. I'm not right wing or left wing. I'm a
No,
guy
okay.
with a podcast.
I
showed up
agree
on
that it was
Jubilee.
dumb for her to say that. Yeah. Oh, well, you're just a straight white guy. Like I made a joke about that. Like that was dumb.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean okay. Straight white
And we're
guys are
just
the most
talking
persecuted group in
and
America.
We're
I
being
think that's
very
silly.
specific to the
And-
context
and
of
that's
this
not what I
thumbnail.
said either, Quaker, right?
Okay, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on, and because I have a feeling this is going to descend into a discourse about the American media that I cannot control.
Oh, no. I was just trying to get on the same page because I think Quaker and I are actually more similarly on the same page than it seems. I wasn't trying to say the American media is coming after white guys, right? That wasn't my position at all.
Yeah.
So
in this it showed that the Jubilee has a left-leaning bias, and the fact that she was able to say that, but she said that specifically because I didn't say anything. If I had chimed in, she probably wouldn't have said that.
And see, the rough thing about that is I feel like it plays into the hands of people who want us to feel divided, right? And making it so that like, hey, we want to make sure that these people feel like they're silenced by these people who are now not silenced. And so they'll fight with each other instead of like actually getting to the bottom of things and understanding where each other's coming from. Because that's what I wanted to have happen from this Jubilee Media conversation.
Well, I thought it was going to happen because we had a ton of very empathetic things we said. Like Kwaku, there wasn't a single empathetic thing that you said towards the lived experience of any of these gay members. There wasn't a single empathetic thing that was said to Timber, that was said when I said it to them, or I didn't really say too much to us, to be honest with you. But like, you know, none of the empathetic things that we said towards the LGBTQ members made it into the final cut. So I kind of wish they would have just said, look, if this is going to descend into an argument about LGBTQ issues like all your other videos did, the Christians versus ex-Christians and Republicans versus Democrats and everything, why don't we literally just have one long forward debate about just one or two questions so that nobody feels misrepresented? But instead, it all roads lead to Rome. All questions descended into this "are Mormons anti-gay" issue, and then it seems like the editor took a side, whether conscious or subconscious, and yeah, I could see why people are frustrated, you know. So anyway, speaking of the LGBTQ issues, you missed it when we veered into this part of the conversation, but bro, Timber was getting badgered, man. Kwaku, finish your thought, and then we're gonna have Brad opine on this.
Well, I was saying that they were upset at Timber the whole time. The tension was because it seemed as if they viewed him as a traitor, and because he decided he wanted to marry a woman, and you know, I'm not gonna pretend to know about the psychology of that whole mixed orientation marriage thing, but the person I felt the worst for, based on the actions of the ex-Mormon side, were Timber's kids. Because when you get down to the fundamental argument they were making that Timber was wrong for marrying a woman and starting a family, they're effectively saying, like, your kids shouldn't exist.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like, when you really take it to its logical conclusion, if you're a kid watching this and they're like, yeah, we think it was wrong that you got married to this woman and have children, how's the kid's going to take that as, like, you're saying I shouldn't have existed?
And
that is where...
The disaffected gay guy literally got to say the exact same thing. Remember, he said, I have two biological children that no church is ever going to take away from me. Well, why should Timber have two biological children that the ex-Mormon church gets to take away from him?
And here's the other thing. Like, my problem was with the hypocrisy of it. The hypocrisy of it was, Timber never said to any of the other, like, he actually explicitly said, I think you are happy being in your relationship.
Yeah.
But there was a constant insinuation that Timber isn't happy being married to a woman and having children. And regardless of gay or straight, the number one complaint for people on the other side of 40 who decided not to marry, whether they're gay or straight, is I feel unaccomplished in life because I didn't have children. Like, having your seed continue is a basic fundamental part of being a human, and everyone wants it, whether you're gay or straight. And so, like, to kind of make that a bad thing if Timber does it, but it's a good thing if Dylan adopts 2 kids. It's totally fine. But if Timber has 2 kids naturally through his own like sperm, that's bad. That to me seemed messed up because once you're getting the family involved, it's like you're not just attacking him for being a traitor. You're going after the fundamental biology of a human. And, you know.
Yeah, Dylan also, I'd be very interested in having Dylan on the show. Dylan, I wasn't able to get your information.
Yeah, he
while
was
we were
cool
there.
too. He was a cool guy.
He seemed like a workable, rational guy. I mean, he's obviously very... I don't want to say tainted, like, because poisoned well is a silly, what I call logical fallacy that people are always throwing around on the internet. So I don't want to say the well was poisoned by, leftist thought or whatever, but like he obviously had his position on things that were very well delineated, but he also seemed very workable. Like he wouldn't just sit there hammering you if you disagreed with him, and you could kind of at least try meander through a conversation and get to a logical conclusion and find that, dare I say, middle ground. So he's actually invited. Dylan, you're welcome to come on our show. We'd love to talk with you, and so on and so forth. Because yeah, he seemed very workable, and it seems like that could be a very constructive conversation. So did you need to continue? I'm sorry, Kwaku, finish your thought.
Oh no, I just wanted to read a couple more comments because I feel like they were super insightful as to what the audience thought. Because
cool. Hit it.
I don't think there was actually a winner based on the optics of how people are responding to this.
I said the same thing. I said I don't think there was a winner, and that's actually maybe why it was a very good job on Jubilee's part.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm not Mormon, but why did the one woman keep saying the Bible is written by a bunch of white men? Seriously, does she not know where the Bible comes from?
That one's
So
good.
Pray Away the Gay actually works for Mormons? Incredible. The episode I've been waiting for. The church dodged the bullet by not having that angry woman in the green shirt in their church anymore. Wow. I mean, it really is just all over the place. I don't think there was a clear winner, and I think the ex-Mormons right now are probably like, I wish that,
Oh no, they're loving it. They got some digs in, and they're going to be able to put them all over TikTok. And this is what I think. Donald Trump, love him or hate him, people on both sides know that he was not endorsing neo-Nazism when, if they're intellectually honest, they know that he wasn't endorsing neo-Nazism when he said there are, quote, very good people on both sides of this argument. He was obviously referencing those that wanted to take down or to keep up statues of the Confederacy and so on and so forth. He was making a philosophical claim about 2 different camps. He wasn't endorsing an ethnocentric ideology, right? So people that are both Democrats and Republicans in our country have been able to recognize and come together that when you look at the full clip in its context, that's not what Donald Trump was saying. Now, are there still like 90% of the woke scolds out there that use that as a rallying cry? Was that still Joe Biden's opening salvo when he launched his campaign in his first campaign video? Yes, there's a lot of disingenuous people who are willing to manipulate that soundbite. And that's what anti-Mormon, ex-Mormonism will do. They're going to manipulate soundbites of you saying that you're a traitor to your race, like they have previously, and we've talked about in other podcasts. They're going to continue to lambaste and say that he's closeted or he's self-loathing Timber because of how he responded. And they're going to continue to take my faith crisis statements out of the context of faith crisis and try and say that it's pure bigotry and so on and so forth. So I think that a lot of the sameness will happen because there's always the 1/3 that hates you, the 1/3 that loves you and won't change. And then there's this middle ground that used to be 1/3. I think it's down to like maybe 15% now. But of that 15%, I think more people will be swayed. I think we did well also because even though they took out the strongest part of my rebuttal to is Mormonism a cult, which if you're going to title the video, this is my only real solid criticism of the editor, is if you're going to title the video, is the Mormon religion a cult? ? Ex-Mormons versus Mormons. You shouldn't take away the best rebuttal to are we a cult that was there halfway through. If you're going to cut off halfway through all the other arguments, don't label the video as Mormonism a cult. Because one of the things that I said that hit the cutting room floor was I continued and I said, I think you guys have abused this title so badly. You're like the woke scolds that have abused the term Nazi. And so many people have called good-meaning regular folks who have different opinions about taxes or healthcare or whatever Nazis, so much so that every time you use it, I think you owe the Holocaust Museum a fine of $100 because because now there's young people that are growing up that don't know what actual ethnic cleansing is, because you have called the little sisters of the poor, the little Catholic nuns that disagreed with Obamacare. You've called them Nazis so often. People don't actually know what it is, and it's a disrespect to those that actually survived the real Holocaust and the damage of the real Nazis. So just like you have overused Nazi, you've overused cult. I have people in Los Angeles that have died because they literally had that have family members who have died because there was literally people in their family that thought there was a space shuttle behind Comet Hale-Bopp. Okay, like all these cults, for some reason they happen in Los Angeles. Go watch the movie Holy Hell. Okay, it's crazy. I don't know why, but like there's people whose lives are actually affected by real cults. And for you to say that this religious organization that encourages young men to be in the Boy Scouts and playing basketball on Wednesday nights as part of their social and their spiritual upbringing is some kind of cult, methinks that you owe the survivors of Comet Hale-Bopp $100 every time you say that, because you have bastardized and absolutely cried wolf the term cult, right? And that hit the cutting room floor, which some people really say, hey, that insinuates bias, you know? So I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I think it's tough.
It did feel biased in its editing to me. I'm in a couple of different Facebook groups where people have just watched it, and it seems like a lot of people feel like it was biased. But maybe Quiku's right. Maybe we'll see this on Ex-Mormon subreddit in like a day or two, and people will be like, wow, it was so biased against the Ex-Mormons, right? Maybe that's what it'll be like.
Yeah. All right, man. So any other last thoughts before we go? Quake, you got something else you want to say? Any final thoughts? I see you scratching.
No. I think we got to go, though.
Well, see, now it's kind of tough when you go like this with your new finely groomed 70s beard. Mustache. I don't know if you're just contemplating about what you're about to say or if you're just grooming your very tasteful, dare I say, facial hair. So anyway, let us know in the comments below. Do you like Quaku's mustache? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's what they want to talk about.
Do you like his mustache? In the comments below, let us know. Thank you very much, Amanda and Skylar, for hanging out. Do you have any final thoughts before we go?
I think it's
really.
good.
No, you left it all on the table. All right, that's the way we play the game, right? Anyway, for this and more, guys, please check us out. What?
I have one thing to say before you
go
out.
Okay.
Something.
Sorry. So here's the deal. The one thing that I like most about what Jubilee Media is trying to do is that it's trying to help people get into more understanding conversations, right? I don't know if the cut of the episode that we got is necessarily going to accomplish that, but hopefully in interest of pursuing that mission, we can all try to be better understanders of what people are trying to say, because it's hard to communicate. People are going to misspeak. It's going to be difficult to get to an understanding of what each other are actually trying to say. So I think it's important that we all try to give one another the benefit of the doubt in conversations and try to understand where each other are coming from, because I think that's the only way that we'll ultimately get to our goal, I think, in the church and here on this podcast, that we are able to live more truly to the gospel of Jesus Christ. If we're going to really love one another, we got to understand one another, right?
Yeah.
So,
Word.
exactly.
This is why I'm putting you on the thumbnail, bro, as the face of diplomacy for Ward Radio. You know what I'm saying? It's in your future. You can't run for president, but I think you should be involved in politics. So as a Canadian that can't hold the highest office in the land, I think you should hold like the 4th or 5th highest office, like maybe ambassador to Canada. And finally, once the church gets smart and they secede from the union and make a small Vatican out of Salt Lake City. Actually, no, I don't want them to do it in Salt Lake City. North LA County would be nice. It's better land, closer to the ocean. And I hate that everybody thinks the LDS church is Utah centric. Yeah. So maybe once we're finally smart and we start a Vatican, and we buy Catalina Island. That's what we're going to do. We're going to buy Catalina Island and start our own Vatican there. You will be the first diplomat to the LDS Vatican, my friend. That's where we're going.
Nice.
BT Whitbeck. Yeah, you see the vision. See, look.
Oh my gosh.
It's not just young and dumb parties that we plan here at Ward Radio. Wow. Okay. So anyway,
I got on Ex-Mormon Reddit to see the comments. And basically,
they're saying yes, Queen, to girl that lambasted.
Are they just declaring victory?
No, they're not really like talking about it. I don't think the Ex-Mormons are even watching it.
The problem with
which you would think
when like what Brad said, they are making, like, it's very admirable of them to make like a place where everyone's talking, because like there's dating apps now where you can pick your political view and you can like sift through people based on your political view. It's very like admirable of them to like find a middle ground, but it seems like a lot of the people that were on weren't trying to like meld, like trying to have that middle ground,
which is the way it oftentimes goes, unfortunately, with Mormon dialogue. You have a bunch of Mormons who are bleeding heart liberals who are trying to concede ground in order to hopefully meet middle ground, and then they just get told that they're horrible people. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Hey, well, the first round they couldn't use. This was actually the second round that they filmed. A lot of people don't realize that, but the first round they filmed was unusable, and I heard it was actually, unfortunately, because the opposing side that wasn't ours was so aggressive, and our side was just kind of like, oh, well, sorry, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree. And they're kind of doing the suburban niceness thing. From what I've gleaned from talking to people about this, that now that's kind of why they called us for the second round, because I remember they called me for the first round. So anyway, overall, look, this is what I have to say. I think it's a thankless job being the editor. I could see how somebody might have been just trying to put together as best they could in 53 minutes. And I could see also how, unfortunately, some unconscious bias could have been manifest and so on and so forth. For me, I'm going either way on this. Overall, actually, I think it was a net positive, because it will, I mean, if we hadn't gone, I went into this fully knowing this is an uphill battle and it is very high risk, and it is risk against me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is not in my best interest to do this. However, at the same time, we still participate in the UN. Why? Just so that the other dictator psychopaths on the Security Council don't get the nuclear codes and the warheads. And so that all the human rights violators that they keep putting on the human rights councils and stuff like that don't ethnically cleanse another 20,000 people this year. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of friends that have worked in diplomacy with the UN and international relations and so on and so forth. And I think there was a lot of people here, whether it was Kwaku or Timber, or even Bella, who I see made a very nice comment in the comment section. I think there were a lot of people that showed up thinking, well, they're going to get somebody. Right? And I'm familiar with a lot of the arguments, and I won't let myself get lambasted too easily. So that's kind of like why I went into that thinking, if not now, when, and if not me, who. Now, some people might think that's very self-aggrandizing, which who knows? Maybe it is, and I'm a stupid idiot. But I think overall we actually did pretty well.
Also,
and the extended cuts will help.
There's like 40 comments saying, I can't believe they got John, Dehlin, Cardin, and Kwaku all in a room together.
Yeah.
So I think...
Well, they succeeded.
Well, they didn't, though, because we didn't know who was going to show up.
I know.
That's the thing.
I'm just saying, though, people are like, they're like, what? They're actually on camera together? I think it needs to happen. Like a 4-hour-long dialogue.
I'm talking with John right now. So... We'll
Kara Burrell. Kara, have me on your thing
in the guest room. Have her in the guest room that she broadcasts from.
Kara Burrell, do it. I will sit down with 3 hours, any topic.
Yeah, who's Brad gonna talk with? Is there a good Canadian Nemo the Mormon? Maybe you're both from the old UK mothership. You know what I'm saying? Just
why do I have to get the worst one?
Brad, that was the funniest comment of the day, man. So anyway, all right. As always, guys, please check us out at wardradio.com. If you'd like to see more, we're going to continue the conversation in the Discord. There's a link to that in the Discord. If you haven't had a chance yet to like this video, please like it. If this is a video you liked, please also subscribe to our channel and press that alert button. Also, if you want to keep more of this content coming, please make sure you look us up on both the Cash App or on Venmo. We're at Ward Radio in both those locations. And as always, for this and more, please check us out at wardradio.com.
I ain't tryna bring you down, but for real, you might as well give up now. Think you got a chance, but I don't see how. Got a real tight grip when I hold that crown. My life been good and bad and all around. The more things I lost, the more I found. One thing I taught myself to do, no matter the problem, refuse to lose. So, how you want it, man? You can choose. If you can't take the heat, don't light the fuse. See, I walk in slow and ignite the room. Like fire, everything I touch, I consume. I'm getting up while y'all just snooze. While you make breakfast, man, I'm on the move. I'm the first one in and the last one out. Whoever owns the place gotta drag me out. In me I trust, yeah, I smell like success. This Elon Musk, huh? Everybody wanna be like us. We don't stop, cause the top just ain't enough.